Here we are again for the spiritual deep dive in 5, looking at all these ideas that the Apostle Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament, left us. I'm going to read for you a long list of phrases. This is one of those moments, and it shows up in the New Testament all over, where Paul is just making these quick statements in sentences, like boom, boom, boom. He's like a boxer, left and right, and he gives these quick statements. The reason I wanted to give them to you today as we're in and looking at the new year is I bet you there's one phrase in this long list of phrases you could say, I'm going to work on in a new year. And I'm just going to offer this to you. You don't have to do that, of course, but let me read to you this list, show you how good it is, and then maybe you can decide which one's for you. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, starting in verse 12. Now we ask you, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge those who work hard among you, who care for you in the Lord and who admonish you. Hold them in highest regard and love because of their work. In other words, he says, look at your pastors, look at the leaders in your faith, hold them in high regard. That's something to work on. Then he says this, live in peace with each other. And we urge you, brothers and sisters, warn those who are idle and disruptive, encourage the disheartened, help the weak, be patient with everyone. That sounds like a lot we could work on. Verse 15, make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong, but always strive to do whatever is good for each other and for everyone else. So instead of living in a I'm going to pay you back mindset, it's let's just do good to each other and for everyone else. Like, let's just make that a mindset. That's something to work on. Verse 16, rejoice always. Pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances. This is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Pause right there. If you ever wonder what God's will is for you, here is in black and white what Paul says God's will is for us, that we rejoice always, pray continuously, and give thanks in every circumstance. Verse 19, don't quench the spirit. Do not treat prophecies with contempt, which is a fancy way of saying when you have some honesty dropped on you, don't treat it harshly. When you have some honesty thrown at you, when God's Spirit is like giving you something maybe you don't want to hear or leading you somewhere you may not want to go, do not disregard it. He says, instead, test them all, hold on to what is good, and reject every kind of evil. Man, that's something we could all work on. This is one of those lists that Paul gives of just like boom, 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 boom. And here's what I want to tell you. Whatever it is, there's something in there, I think, for you and I that we could glean. We could take that into our new year. And I invite you to read this passage on your own. Slowly look at it. Maybe write it down. I think this is one of the ways God would have me work on this in the new year.